Hi, good evening, and thank you for joining us. This is our Tuesday night mindfulness Zen class, and I'm going to continue with practicing with our breath or our breath work. The Buddha said that our life is just one breath, and what that means is that if you exhale and then you don't take the next inhale, that's the end. Of course, we don't think of it in such stark terms because we always assume that our breath will continue. We will continue our breath to inhale, exhale, and so on. But when we come to end of life, then the situation's a lot different. I've seen many personal experiences where older people especially, they find it hard to breathe. It can be a struggle to actually take an in-breath. And I guess some of the people who are working in the ICU wards taking care of the severely sick patients with COVID-19, you also see that breathing becomes a very huge labor. So the important point that we need to realize is breathing correctly is a skill that we can acquire, that we can't really assume that we know how to breathe well just by breathing. In fact, most people don't breathe correctly. Usually, an average person will breathe between 12 to 18 times a minute, which is actually far too fast, as the research has really shown. The optimal kind of breathing rate is around 6 breaths per minute, which is like 1 cycle per 10 seconds. And that allows our body to actually absorb the optimal oxygen, and it's a very efficient way of breathing. And it can also help to expand our lung capacity by breathing deeply and breathing slowly, because when we're breathing quite quickly, we're not breathing very deeply, we're breathing quite shallowly. So tonight what I'd like to do to start with is to experience what it's like when we actually breathe far too fast, faster than the 12 to 18 times a minute, in fact. And this is something which happens if we go into an anxiety attack or a panic attack. So over the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've been practicing breathing slowly. We've not experienced what it's like when we have to breathe quickly. So I'd like to do this with you so that you can experience what it's like, the completely different feeling, the impact on your body and on your levels of stress and energy. So what we're going to do is just breathe, inhale, exhale deeply, quite quickly. Okay, so just follow me if you can. And I would like to warn you that those of you who are prone to anxiety, you may feel anxious, so you may not want to do this in case the same kind of feelings of anxiety come. So you may want to just skip this exercise if you have a tendency to be anxious. So what we're going to do is we're just going to breathe quickly in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, not trying to force anything out, but breathing in deeply, then out, letting it go. Those of you who have done the Wim Hof method, it's a bit like that. Okay, So let's start. So in, just in, let it go. In and let it go. Starting to feel warm. Tingly. Maybe a bit dizzy. Few more times. Okay, last one. So now I can feel my head just buzzing, and I feel a lot of warmth in my chest, and it's like everything's tingling, like I'm really like ready to do something, you know, this kind of very jumpy kind of energy. And that is the impact that breathing can have on our system. What we were doing is actually we were stimulating our sympathetic nervous system, the nervous system that is responsible for getting us ready to fight or run. So that's why we're starting to feel all these things. It's adrenaline, our heart's pumping faster, adrenaline and cortisol are being released into our body to get us ready for this state where we have to fight for our lives or we have to run for our lives. So that's that was a very exaggerated example, but that's what happens when you feel anxious. You start to breathe, and that triggers the anxiety also. It's like a multiplier effect. So that's why when you're starting to be anxious, a lot of therapists, psychologists will ask you to do this kind of rhythmic breathing to help slow your breath down, and then that will trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. So there's the sympathetic, and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic is the one that excites you. The parasympathetic is the one that slows you down, and that helps to calm down your mind. And when you have to actually pay attention to your breath, that also helps to take away your attention in a certain degree and make you more aware of your breath, so you're not concentrating on those thoughts which are making you more anxious. So our breath is actually very important to us. And one of the things that we may not recognize is that it's very important to breathe through our nose. And even our nostrils have certain function. So you will notice probably, you may notice that you're not breathing through both nostrils at the same time. If you do this thing right now, just close one nostril, breathe in and out, and then the other one. You'll find that one nostril is actually easier to breathe through, and that's the one that's functioning right now. And our body has this cycle. It will breathe through one, and then after some time it will breathe through the other one. And what it does is that it has certain tissue that it will expand to kind of partially close one off, so it's easier to breathe through the other one, and then it will change. And what the research tells us is that the right nostril, if you're breathing predominantly through that is the one that actually stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, that it actually gets you all energized up. And then if you're breathing through your left nostril, it's the one that helps to calm you down. So even our nostrils, our nose, has very, very subtle functions. And the other thing that it's important to recognize is to really try to practice breathing through your nose. Because what happens is that when you breathe through your nose actually is the source of nitric oxide, which is a gas that helps to expand your blood vessels, allows your blood to flow better, improves your immunity, it lowers your blood pressure. If some of you are doctors or in the medical profession, you'll know that nitric oxide is one of the gases that is released from this drug called sildenafil, which is the popular name for it is Viagra. And what it does is that it helps to release nitric oxide into your blood, and that allows your blood vessels to expand and helps to cure men's erectile dysfunction. So when you breathe through your nostrils, you are actually increasing the intake of nitric oxide, or increasing the flow of nitric oxide by 6 times. So that's why it's another reason for us to breathe through our nose. So hopefully your breathing has calmed down now, and you're ready to do some slow breathing. The way that we practice breathing is to use our diaphragm. Because as you use your diaphragm, the air goes in very deeply into your lungs. And that enables you to be a very efficient breather. So again, let's start from the fundamentals. Put one hand at the level of your chest, middle of your chest, where your heart is, and the other one down at your lower belly. And just breathe in through your nose and allow your breath to travel all the way down to your lower belly. So your lower belly will expand a little bit as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you'll contract. Okay? So you can close your eyes if you like. Just paying attention to the movement in your lower belly. So if you feel that your chest is moving, then what you're doing is you're basically using your upper chest to breathe. And see if you can breathe out more. Then as you breathe in, just let your lower belly expand. Just like the way that babies breathe when they sleep. Okay? So just follow my rhythm for the first few times. Then use your own rhythm, whichever is most comfortable for you. So breathing in and out. Lower belly falls. Breathing in, lower belly rises and out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Now just go at your own pace. If your mind wanders off, it's not a problem. Just gently let go of the thoughts which are occupying your mind, and then come back to the sensation of breathing again. Just paying attention to the feeling of the breath. You can feel it with your hands. Just allow your breath as you breathe in to really travel all the way down to your lower belly using your diaphragm. It might seem a bit strange to some of you who are not used to using your diaphragm to breathe. But I can assure you this is the most efficient way of breathing. Okay. Let's do one last cycle, then return your hands to your knees and breathe normally. And just notice how you feel now compared with just after when we were breathing fast and deep at the beginning. Now, the diaphragm is sometimes referred to as the second heart. And that's very interesting thing to know, because what happens is when you use a diaphragm to breathe in, it creates a negative pressure. And that negative pressure also causes blood to flow towards your heart and your lungs. And as you breathe out, you create a positive pressure, and then that sends the blood to the rest of your body, helps to send the blood to the rest of your body. So it assists in the kind of like the thoracic pump or the heart pump. So actually using our diaphragm to breathe helps also our blood circulation. So there are many, many benefits of actually learning to breathe well and correctly in this way. I'd like to show you another method, another technique, and this is also taught by Zen Master Songsan, and it comprises a whole series of breathing movement techniques. So we start with our hands together, palms together, touching the middle of our chest at our heart level, and then breathing in. As you breathe out, extend your arms forward, breathing out through your nose. Then as you breathe in, bring your hands back, like that. Out. Palms forward. Still your thumb and finger touching. In. So try to make it a smooth, like cyclic movement. Relax your shoulders. Again, we're using our diaphragm to breathe. Allow your mind to relax, just being aware of your breathing. And if your mind drifts off, that's normal. When you notice it, just come back again. Come back to feeling your breath. So palms and your hands go out, you breathe out. You bring them back in, breathe in. Smoothly, gently, deeply, breathing through our nose. Okay. So let's do one last cycle and then end. And just sit and breathe normally, comfortably. I mentioned earlier that nitric oxide, this very, very beneficial gas, is actually produced by our nose. And if you breathe through your nose, you can increase your absorption of nitric oxide by 6 times. Now there's another thing that you can do if you want to have more nitric oxide in your body, and you don't have to go and buy a pill. Although I think there are supplements available which you can take to increase your nitric oxide in your blood. But this is free. And then this very simple technique. And the technique is humming. So you close your mouth and you think of your favorite song and you go 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just hum as you wash your dishes or you're doing some chores, just hum. And what that does, it increases your production and intake of nitric oxide by 16 times. So 16 times, that's 1600%. So that is also very beneficial for your body. So you can do that once a day, think of your favorite song, whatever you're doing. Doesn't have to be something intellectual, some simple job, then just hum. And that, according to the science, works. So breathing correctly and well is really important. Like last week I mentioned that two studies of a few thousand people each, the results showed that the lifespan is related to their lung capacity. Those people with smaller lung capacities, that means smaller ability, less of the ability to breathe, had a shorter lifespan. Those with a larger lung capacity had a longer lifespan. And lung capacity is something that we can develop. It doesn't have to deteriorate over our lifetime. So you can increase your lung capacity through exercise, walking, swimming, running. So that's one of the ways you can do it. Also, those breathing exercises will help too. So I hope you will take this on board and practice breathing, 5 or 10 minutes a day, and then you are well on your way to actually better health. And not only that, breathing helps to calm our mind, so then we can become more mindful and more aware of things happening in our daily life from moment to moment. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope you stay safe, stay well, and see you next time, which will be Thursday for a longer meditation session.